Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with Justice League issue 75. This is the death of the Justice League. And right off the bat, guys, I feel like this book did not deserve what it was trying to do. What do I mean by that? Well, this book opens up, and what happens is you see each individual character's Black Adam. If I get the page turned. Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, John Stewart, Zatanna, Hawk Girl, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, and Black Canary get teleported. Now, the one interesting thing here right off the bat is each character is getting teleported. People are not sure what's going on, but as Canary goes, Ollie drops what he's doing immediately. And he goes, "Hold on. What are you doing?" "Come on. After everything we've been through, where you go, I go." And that's a great moment because these two, they're lovers. I wish I had gotten the marriage issue way back in the day, but of course I slept on it. But it just shows how much Oliver Queen loves Dinah, and that's just a very awesome addition here. And when, everything's said and done here, I love how Black Adam's standing there and goes, "You two, the couple, where are we?" And we're just as confused as you are, dude. And this is where you see that we are in the House of Heroes. And you can see everybody that's been teleported. And then, of course, Captain Carrot. And this is supposed to be the Justice League Incarnate. And we'll get into that here in a second. And you come to find out that the Justice League Incarnate has teleported Earth Zero's heroes to this place, and he's saying, "We wish we could have gotten more, but our power is diminishing due to the great darkness." And the Hall of Heroes is still being healed from what event, God knows, because events are just so much. And this is probably my biggest beef with modern comic events, both Marvel and DC. They don't give it a chance to breathe. Like when after Dark Knight's Metal, we got the Infected. Then we got Year of the Villain. Then we got Dark Knight's Death Metal. Then we got Then we got Future State. Then we got Infinite Frontier. And then we got these other events where it leads you up to talking about how Darkseid is a prisoner of the Great Darkness. Barry Allen's trapped in a warped reality. How the Justice League Incarnate is losing their powers. And you just got to read event after event after event after event after event to understand what this page means. That, from a collector's standpoint, think of how many books you have to get at, say, $4, $5, $6, sometimes $10 a pop. That's ridiculous. But if you guys are interested in what is leading up to this, you can pause this page and read this at your leisure. Anyway, the Great Darkness attacks, and they end up being teleported to this kind of dystopian place where this is the ruins of dead multiverses. And this reminds me of two things. Reminds me of the ending of the original Crisis on Infinite Earths. You see how they do the loop here. Very much an homage to that. And then this kind of, I'm wondering, because at this point I know that I'm behind the game, that Dark Crisis is out, but this kind of reminds me of what Hickman was doing when he was leading into Secret Wars. I don't remember what it was called in the pages of the Avengers. It was, I don't remember what that event was called, but it was talking about how the multiverses were clashing into each other and the Illuminati, etc., so forth. So I'm kind of wondering, to a degree, is trying to shock people with the death of the Justice League if they're actually going to do something like Secret Wars. Maybe. Anyway, my problem with this book so far is there's supposed to be this big thing with Pariah from the original Crisis on Infinite Earths and how he's doomed to watch, what is it called? Wait here, how about this? He goes, Pariah, I remember you. Your world was the first one to fall to the Anti-Monitor. You are a scientist, cursed to go from one catastrophic event to another. And you can see that he's been possessed by the great darkness, and he wants all this to end. So he's saying that your world must die in order for the great darkness to be at peace. But you heroes woke it up with your wars. And that's kind of how he sees it. Now, think back. Let's rewind the clock a little bit to like the mid 80s, through the 90s, even maybe the early 2000s. When events would happen, there is usually a big lead up, big promotion. And not just like, let's say if a few heroes would die or not die, i.e. the fall of the mutants, where they were kind of teasing at the X-Men dying, but of course we knew they weren't. Case in point. But it'd be months leading into it. You know, I've poked through Wonder Woman comics, Green Lantern comics, and of course I've been regularly reading Batman, and there's been no real tease to what's going on with this book leading into Dark Crisis. From what I understand, you'd had to have read Justice League Incarnate, or Incarnate, I think was the name of the book, and Infinite Frontier. Either series I just don't care about, and I noped out. So if you don't read event after event after event, or these other kind of random titles, you're going to be lost. Talk about rewinding the clock. I don't remember a lot of the events from the 80s, other than Crisis on Infinite Earths, but there was other events, and on the main character books, Flash, Superman, Green Lantern, Batman, it'd always say the road to, or countdown to. And then we get, like, let's say the death of Superman, where they took their time building up Doomsday, and you learned how he was a threat. And DC made it a point to show that this book ties into this, and it was a continuous story leading to the ultimate battle between these two juggernauts. Same thing with the breaking of Batman, Nightfall. Even before Nightfall had the little trade dressing where it said Nightfall, and you saw that the eclipse on the bat symbol was slowly encompassing it. Even before that, the books were kind of introducing Bane, kind of getting you to understand how much of a threat he was, so that when we finally got down to that, I don't remember the issue number, but where Bane finally breaks Batman, you can see how tired Bruce was from trying, overexerting himself to try to undo the damage that Bane had done behind the scenes. And yes, even though both, Superman came back from the dead, Batman eventually came back, you cared. Same thing with the Age of Apocalypse. In the books, leading up to the Age of Apocalypse, they were talking about the death of Xavier, etc., so forth. People were worried because X books were getting canceled and they didn't understand why. Other than maybe seeing a blurb on social media about the death of Justice League, I didn't know what it was about. I don't know what they were going for. Now again, the artwork's not too bad. I mean, you can kind of see Pariah's Dark Army, which I do kind of feel like is a rehash, like we're doing Dark Knight's Metal again, because we get all these twisted versions. Though it is kind of cool to see Darkseid being the slave, and then of course, what's his name, Necron, the rest of them, and then of course the Doomsday in the back. It's cool, but again, there's no real point to this story. I mean, some of the artwork's nice. There are other parts where it feels kind of flat. But I just kind of feel like with DC trying to make this the big book of 2022, I don't feel like it was deserved. There was no lead up there in any of the books that I'm aware of. It was just kind of like, okay, we're killing off the Justice League, which we all know is going to be bullcrap. But it just, I finally picked this up and I was underwhelmed. And I've said this before, and I mean no disrespect to Joshua Williamson. He's an apt writer. But he doesn't have the chops of, say, Chuck Dixon or Jerry Ostrander, or even Jeff Johns is a more modern writer. He can get a story across, but in this, where they have all these heroes, and we just see this cacophony of this battle, a lot of the times they would focus, like in older stories where there'd be big events like this, they would still have standout moments. And we do kind of get that as we see all these beautiful moments, that great design. Love this, love this, love this. And one of the main two, should I say, there's two. Let me find it, hold on a second. Where we get John Stewart. Now, I have not been reading a lot of Green Lantern, but from what I understand is John has this new power called the God Storm, where it looks like he can summon all the different powers of the Justice League. And you're thinking, this is awesome. John's going to step in, save the day, because, you know, DC's been building him up to be this next mega character. And in the next few seconds, he's taken out by the Spectre. Okay. Maybe we're just starting to see a threat. So, beginning of the book, we see Ollie talking about where you go, Dinah, I go. So he wants to shut off Pariah's machine that's going to kill Earth Zero. So Dinah's like, what are you doing? What I always do. And we see him get one of his trick arrows. And I love how when he shoots it, we kind of see it fly through the different parts of the battle. And it blows up his Pariah's machine. Cool. He's like, aren't you glad I came? Now let's shut this down and go home. I'll make chili. Now here again, spoilers abound, guys. So if you want to see what happens, go get the book. If not, we're going to continue because I'm going to show why I don't feel like this book was deserved. Boom. Next thing, Ollie's dead. I feel like John and Ollie from the beginning of this book really should have been more focused on so that you care about what happens right here. But if you notice at the beginning, Black Adam's the one that gets the focus, while everyone else kind of gets the paneling. Because as at the end of the book, which when we get there, you'll understand why, but still, we need these moments. And again, another thing that really irked me is with this book, they keep calling back to all the old crises or crises, whatever you want to call it. So this book in and of itself does not have its own identity. Crisis on Infinite Earths, the reason it stands the test of time is because it did something that has never been done before. Grant Morrison's, oh God, what was his called? Infinite Crisis or whatever. The reason that one was so big is because at the time, he'd killed John Jones. He'd quote-unquote killed Batman. And both deaths had an impact and launched the story. Yes, they both came back, but not till, John didn't come back till, what was it, after Brightest Day? Ooh, we don't talk about Brightest Day. And then, of course, Batman, they really stretched that out, but it led somewhere. This, so far, does not. Even this gorgeous splash page here where it looks like the Justice League is dying, this very much is remnant of how they killed Barry Allen in Crisis on Infinite Earths, where he sacrificed himself, overworking himself in the Speed Force, I think it was, to stop the villain. Now, I'm of the mind that if you're going to say you're going to kill a character, I feel at this point you should commit to the bit. If you want to kill legacy characters like this, make it impactful. Make it where you close the book and you're teary-eyed and you feel like you've been gut-punched. I mean, even to this day, even though we know he's back, I still read The Death of Superman and I still tear up in the way that he sacrificed himself. The way how Bane just haphazardly throws Batman from a building and he's laying there bleeding, and the people of Gotham are just torn because their protector is seemingly dead. And it was all earned because they took their time over months and months building up the villain. Same thing with Doomsday. All we get here at the end is the Justice League are dead. Like, Black Adam's the only one that's supposed to have survived that apocalypse multiverse ruins place that he was. In here, death of the Justice League. Oh, big whoop-de-frickin-do. Here's the credits if you guys are interested. Writer, Joshua Williamson. Pencil, Rafael Sandoval. Inks, Jordi Tergana. Colors, Matt Herms. Letters, Josh Reed. And then there's everyone else working on the book. And then we kind of get this another story with Clayface, which is kind of supposed to be, in a sense, the aftermath of what happened. And we see this, they sacrificed themselves to hold back the dark. And now we're a world without a Justice League. If you guys go in and read Dark Crisis, I read the first issue. And I don't want to spoil it, but I'm going to. So if you don't want to, nope out now. But at the beginning of issue 1 of Dark Crisis, they have this really gorgeously drawn, very beautiful artistic thing doing this memorial to the Justice League. But then throughout Dark Crisis, the first issue is John Clark running around building his own Justice League to try to figure out what's going on, to try to save them. And of course, at the very end of that book, we see that the Justice League are not dead. They are like in a suspended animation, kind of like how in Death Metal, Batman, or not Death Metal, but Dark Knight's Metal, Batman wasn't dead. He was just a hostage in the dark multiverse. So that's why I said this book, with its quote-unquote death, not earned. Everything that happens in this book, not earned. All these characters that are supposed to be leading up, like John Stewart having this new power, you know, this new godlike power, doesn't matter. Ollie being able to stop that machine before Pariah is able, after he dies, Pariah starts rebuilding it. It's just so lackluster compared to what old events from 80s, 90s were. And I don't know if there's going to be lasting repercussions coming out of Dark Crisis, but that first issue was garbage. Like, I'm not trying to bash it. You know, people are trying, I get it, but it just does not have the chops like older events had. And this book, other than being able to reference all the different crises and, oh, Superman's dead again, blah, 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 there's no identity of this book in and of itself for it to stand on its own merit. It has to rely on old tropes to launch forward. And to me, that's not a comic book. That's just a member berry. If you guys watch South Park, it's like, remember this? Remember that? And that's what this feels like to me, is a big bunch of member berries. So with that said, it's still readable. If you try to take all that out of your mind, you can enjoy it. The action's great, as you saw, gorgeous splash pages. If you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you can possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little Justice League bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.